You are watching the Bald and Bearded Tottenham Boys show, streaming live on YouTube, starring Will Stewart and Cody Mac. Don't wait for the video to start. Go ahead and smash a like on the video right now. And while you're there, go ahead and give us a subscribe if you haven't already. You're not going to regret it. Also, too, you can find us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, or any of your other favorite podcasting platforms. And stay tuned because the video starts soon. You are watching the Bald and Bearded Tottenham Boys show, streaming live on YouTube, starring Will Stewart and Cody Mac. Don't wait for the video to start. Go ahead and smash a like on the video right now. And while you're there, go ahead and give us a subscribe if you haven't already. You're not going to regret it. Also, too, you can find us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, or any of your other favorite podcasting platforms. And stay tuned because the video starts soon. You are watching the Bald and Bearded Tottenham Boys show, streaming live on YouTube, starring Will Stewart and Cody Mac. Don't wait for the video to start. Go ahead and smash a like on the video right now. And while you're there, go ahead and give us a subscribe if you haven't already. You're not going to regret it. Also, too, you can find us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, or any of your other favorite podcasting platforms. And stay tuned because the video starts soon. What's going on, folks? Will Stewart. That guy over there is Cody Mac. And today, Bald and Bearded Tottenham Boys show. Cody, I'm using these episodes on a podcast too. So Spotify, on all that good stuff through Anchor. What do you think about that?
I think, you know what? If you can access the information without having to look at our faces, it's probably a good thing.
That could be a positive for some people. I think some people enjoy our faces, and that may not be the case. But I'm sure there is at least one or two out there. But the people that don't know, so we are basically taking the audio from these episodes, from this show and from Cody Mac's Morning THFC show, because those are a little bit more in a podcast type vein, right? We're not bringing guests onto these shows normally, and on your show, you're usually bringing only one other guest. And so the audio's there. I figured, why not use it? Why not use it? And maybe it can bring more exposure to the show, to the channel, and yeah. So that's why the format seems a little bit different today. Not different in the format for you guys watching, but the intro had different audio because as I was doing this, setting it up for the podcast section of it, realizing that there's 4 minutes of just music may confuse people who aren't looking at the screen to see that the show is starting soon. So I had to make some changes to that. But that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do moving forward. So if you are watching this back after the fact, obviously YouTube is our main game. But if you're in a spot, or if you're not a YouTube premium member and closing your phone, sticking it in your pocket while you're at work, you can still now get the Bald and Bearded Tottenham Boys show in your ear, whenever you want. So anyways, been kind of a weird week. It's obviously Euros week, and I think the Portugal-Hungary game is still going on now, or is it over?
Yeah, Hungary just scored. Hungary just scored to go up 1-0. Sorry to cut you off there. I'm just watching it on my phone.
That's great.
No, they've taken it back. Looks like offside.
Oh, that's good.
Man.
But I've got Portugal to win this thing, to be honest with you.
I had Portugal to win too, but not after today, for crying out loud. They look terrible today.
Do you think it's just first game jitters?
I think maybe Hungary isn't the pushover that everybody thought. I think Hungary probably is getting discounted quite a bit just because they're in this group, this group with Germany and France and Portugal. But no, Portugal have looked not great. Not great. Not like the juggernaut you would expect them to be on paper.
Well, I think they're kind of like a defensive side, right? They're kind of like a smash and grab, sit back behind the ball, catch them on the counter and stuff like that.
Yeah, they kind of look like they don't know. I mean, they've had a few fair chances, that's for sure. But it's not what you expected. Hungary, this looks like Hungary's game to take right now. I mean, a point for them is huge. I don't think anybody expects them to get out of this group. But you never know, with that. You figure if Hungary somehow manages to finish third, you have to think that their goal differential would be a problem in terms of them getting one of those coveted spots that go to the third place teams, which, by the way, what a garbage rule, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now, it's basically any third place team who gets a draw, who gets 4 points is looking like they're going to make it through. You know what I mean?
I don't understand. Like, how can you call this a group of death when... I mean, it's not a guarantee that the third place team in this group will go through because there's bound to be some close games and some blowouts, but it's just it's a money driving mechanism. It's the same thing as teams dropping out of Champions League into Europa. It's the same thing as Europa teams that are going to drop into the Conference League. It's just more and more and more games, money. I just detest UEFA. I just hate them.
Yeah, they're a pretty sketchy organization, and then but this comment here because Jamie can't wait. He's got to know. He put the comment in there 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then maybe he left. But if you're still watching, Jamie. Will Fonseca be announced tomorrow or not? I don't know, but I did see.
Hey, Will.
Yeah.
Is Fonseca being announced tomorrow or not?
I can't say for sure, but all of my reliable sources that I use haven't mentioned anything about it being delayed. I did watch the We Are Tottenham TV Boys show. Or We Are Tottenham TV show. And I did see that video about them saying, or at least that being the title of their video. but I have not seen anything from my sources. Not that I have any other special sources than anyone else, but from the core of group guys that I guess you could say I trust, I haven't seen anyone saying that it's going to be delayed.
Todd has a good question here.
Will be tomorrow. That would be Wednesday. From what I'm hearing, that is the schedule. Whether or not it happens tomorrow or happens this week, I don't think that a delay in that is going to change it. I think this is a done deal. The way, if not, man, it's going to be egg on the face for every journalist, and journalists are going to be so upset with Daniel Levy and Tottenham Hotspur in general. Not that that's anything new, but
what about this question from Jamie Clean though? Listen, I'll tell everybody in the chat. We actually know. We know the answer, but in order to find out, you have to send it in a super chat.
What else we got here? Who else we got in the comments here?
Portugal just scored. Yep.
With Ronaldo.
Sorry, I was trying to pay attention to the show. I didn't see.
But Kogoma Nim's in the house.
Oh man, it's an ugly one.
An ugly goal. But before we get rolling into the show too far, we've got to go to do this. So whether you're watching on YouTube or listening later on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other podcasting platform, if you want to help support the show, you can go over to patreon.com/THFCRants and become a member of Williams Rangers. We have a $5 tier that's just a basic support for the channel. And we've also got a $10 tier, which allows you to get special links to come on and join us on Thursdays during the Q&A, during the Creative Corner, chat with us and other big Tottenham creators on YouTube. And the folks that have already done that already, Spartan 7 Gaming, Wayne Bonner, Mama Coach, Celery Agent, AG, and Koguma Nim, and Tony Go Nim, and Alex Burleton. So if you want to help do that, that's the best way to regularly support the channel. Costs little as $5 to $10 a month. It's less than Netflix. So if you want to help do that, that's great. Also, too, if you like the show and you want to find memes or different stuff like that, we do have a merch store called www.thfcrants.com where you can pick up t-shirts, mugs. Cody's got a mug and a shirt. I have a shirt and a sweatshirt, and all that good stuff. So if you want to get some moon boots or the bun or just different meme shirts throughout the YouTube community, a BJ shirt is incoming. So make sure to head over to thfcrants.com and get that. Father's Day is coming up. It's a great Father's Day gift. But you need to probably order today, and you probably still won't get it by Sunday. So you're a little behind the curve if that's something that you were looking to do. Because these are made to order. Now that the bills are paid, what is your thoughts on this?
Sorry, Ronaldo's taking a penalty.
Sick. Ronaldo's taking a penalty. Do you think he's going to break that score?
Yeah, maybe. I just want to thank everybody in the comments for ruining this for me, by the way. Yeah, 2-0 to Portugal. I think I can turn this off now. Minor, that's not a good enough to support both at the same time.
0-0 to Hungary going up a goal, having it chalked off, and then within not even 5 minutes, because we've only been on the show for 14 minutes, Portugal scores 2. So,
yeah, man, I'm telling you,
Hungary being this team.
I jinxed them. Right. I jinxed them.
You did. It's hilarious. And so Portugal's done. Portugal's gotten their first 3 points in the group. 2-0. I think that's the score that I predicted on the prediction app. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what I got. Let's see. Have you got to watch any of this game at all? I haven't. I've been working, jump straight in here. In fact, I actually have my employees out there working now while I'm doing this. So it's by employees, me and my teenage boys.
It's a throwback. because there's a full crowd, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool because like I know that you don't really want to say that the crowds influence the match officials or anything like that, but they kind of do. You know, like if it's a rowdy crowd and they have certain reactions, you know, it can kind of get that card out of the pocket a little quicker. You know what I mean? So it's just been nice to see that. France, Germany next at 3. You think France is a dark horse, and you think Germany are not as good as they used to be.
Yeah, I think France will get second in this group, and
to Portugal. And now you're gonna.
Yeah, I've called Portugal to win. I've always called Portugal to win.
Yeah,
so France will get second in this group. They can't be a dark horse if they don't have a chance of winning. Right? They've got to progress in order to be a dark horse. I just don't see them. I just don't see France as favorites. I'm sorry, I just don't. So if they're not a favorite, they're a dark horse.
We don't need to get into this debate again. I think we'll just end up.
I'm telling you my opinion. I know.
We'll look up at the clock and it'll be like 2:30, and we'll still be talking about this if we get onto it. So let's go back to Fonseca manager talk here, because.
But I predicted 3-0 to Portugal. By the way, that was a score that I predicted for this match. 3-0. So they've got some time left. I've been off, man. I've predicted most of the wins, even though some of them were the scores. I've been off like by a goal, right? Like so. The only wins that I didn't predict so far for the Euros is I predicted Spain to beat Sweden, and I predicted Poland to beat Slovakia.
Yeah, you have to read this super chat, and if this is what I think it is,
no, it's not what you think it is, and that's why it's funny. It just says Will Nim, Cody Nim, good work, and fighting. It basically means let's go. So she gave us 5,000 won to say love the show. Basically, translated is love the show and great job. Right? That's kind of the gist.
We got like an all-star cast in the chat here. We got Johnny Einstein, Brian Daigle, Tommy Gunn, Matty Hayes, JP, Kudos, Amzo, Mike Webster. Quick question. When jogging out in the heat and sweat is pouring off your heads, how do you combat that? I don't jog. I hate jogging.
The first way to do it is don't jog. And second one is don't go out in the heat. And then
go golfing.
No problem.
Go golfing instead, Mike.
No, but also too, if you want to make sure that you do that, you got to make sure. Now let's give the real answer to that. Sweating, can't really do anything about sweating. What you can do is you can wear a headband. It looks corny and you look like a doof, but it really does keep the sweat out of your eyes. And two, make sure you hydrate well beforehand. And what I mean by well beforehand is hours beforehand, right? You always need to make sure that you're well hydrated. Drinking water while you're running is not really replacing the water that you're losing, because it takes a while for your body to process it, for it to enter your bloodstream and all that good jazz, right? So you need to make sure that you're well hydrated, up until about 6-7 hours before your workout session. And that'll help you to stay hydrated during your thing. So there's the sports science information for you.
Well, somebody's saying it's 3-0 now.
Is it 3-0?
Well, I turned it off.
Heck yeah, it's 3-0. Woohoo!
Look at that.
3 points for this score.
Yeah. This game is there for Hungary. Boom, boom, boom. That's football.
And
that's football.
It's 1:30 in the AM or 2:30 in the AM for her. So thank you for staying up with us.
Wow. Who needs sleep?
She's saying she hopes she can stay up late enough to watch the France and Germany game. Wow, Ronaldo again. 2 goals for Ronaldo. I'm telling you,
golden boot.
This guy's the GOAT.
CR7.
He is the GOAT.
Harry Kane, your move.
Yep. So we got Lukaku with 2 and Cristiano Ronaldo with 2, and I think they're leading the race right now, right, for Golden Boot.
Yeah, Schick has 2 as well. The worldie.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Lucky. I had Scotland to win that one as well.
What a goal, though. Come on.
that whole that lucky goal changed the tide, and
Scotland. I think like a lot of our connections really were riding Scotland hard because Scotland aren't a great team and they must have like a tendency to beak off about being in the tournament and everything. But they didn't deserve the result. They did play a little bit better, but they were not. Their final touch was terrible, right? But Paulo Fonseca. What's your theory? Why is this taking so long? Nothing is ever what it seems. So when they come out and say that it's travel restricted, blah, 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 I'm not buying it.
To be honest with you, I couldn't tell you why I think that it's taking so long. And also, too, if there's people out in the comments and you guys want to interrupt us, you know how to do that. Oh, sorry. Just go ahead and throw in a super chat because, to be honest with you, I've got two things. I've got what's going on, the conversation Cody and I are having, and then I've also got kids that are trying to do my job for me. That one. All right. But why is Fonseca taking so long? It sounds to me as though it's already done. It's just taking long because we're incompetent. That could be true, Dan. That could be true.
Good point.
I think one of the reasons why it's taking so long is that I don't think that they're in a rush for some reason. I don't think they're in time constraints. I think they're working in a way that allows them to just meet together. So you have, if they're saying that those two fellows are in Italy and they're supposed to be having a meeting. They're supposed to be meeting like now or today, right? Or yesterday, today. I think that they're just kind of discussing what they're going to do, their plans to move things on, who's the staff's going to be, right? So I think they're waiting to get all of those things lined up before they make the official announcement. But I don't see this one, and we've got Amasian saying Fonseca ain't coming, it's fake news. Look, I don't think it's fake news because there's no reason to fake this one, right? It's not like this particular topic is going to be, something that you would fake. Why would you fake Paulo Fonseca covering the Tottenham Hotspur? Matt Hayes in here with a €10 super chat. Matt, you're an amazing guy. Huge supporter of the channel, and part of the reason that we are who we are and what we are as quickly as we were. He says, I may not be the first super chat on the channel like I promised, but it is a super chat nonetheless. And since I paid, I demand y'all call me Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. There's someone who might disagree with you a little bit, Matty Hayes, on that. I'll call you, since you put in the €10, I'll say that you are. Matty Hayes is Ireland's #1 Spurs fan.
Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan.
Someone immediately called me out and disagreed with me, Matt. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. But I think you are, Matt.
I'll text David and tell him he's up €15, €15, and we'll give it back to him.
David Harris, if you are watching, it's gonna cost you €15 to reclaim that title. And go ahead, you can clip whatever you want, man. Anytime you want. And but David, in order to get the title back, it's going to be €15. It's going to be a bidding war back and forth, all that good stuff. And Sean Moran says, Will, have you read about Jermaine Jenas? He says Levy lacks ambition. I have, 100%. And Gogomanim says here, she says that every time I Gogomanim, I can't say your name. I have to have to say it fast because I have a Google Home sitting next to me in my office. And whenever I say your name, it thinks I'm saying, "Hey, Google." And it goes off. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can hear
Yeah,
it.
I can hear it.
But Gogomanim says they didn't go off that time. That's why I always say it fast. I don't know if you guys have picked that up or not, but I say it really quick to fool my my thing. And it says she says that our audio clips are the best. So and they are. But stop the Levy hate. I don't hate Daniel Levy. I just think he's a poor chairman.
Okay, what were we talking about? Fonseca.
We were. Why was it going to be late? Yeah, I don't think it's late. I think they're setting it up. I think they're just picking around. You know, I think what they're going to do is they're holding off to wait for the whole back staff to announce. And apparently, look. So I did criticize Paulo Fonseca for this, not bringing his own staff, but apparently his staff has already left. They're going to do their own thing. So it may not have necessarily been, you know, his issue.
Ali Gold said in his video that he suspects that Ryan Mason will be going back to his role with the youth squads. So
you can, that'll make me very happy.
You can breathe a sigh of relief. Listen, at this point, like with how much information we've been given about Fonseca and how many like different YouTubers have done shows on him and how much research has been, like, how would it make you feel if we didn't actually end up with him? A manager who has been generally viewed as a bit of underwhelming with a little bit of maybe underdog upside. It's almost like he's here. Like we're talking about him as if he's 100% done. But Conte was supposedly 99% over the line as well. Like, what if we don't get Fonseca and we end up with like Eddie Howe or something? Are we done being disappointed, or?
No, I mean, that would make me even more mad. Look, this is the problem with this is they start talking about this and they pump it out there so hard that I guess you could say that I've come to accept the Paulo Fonseca appointment. And there's been so many people coming out and so many different shows that have said he's such this good young pragmatic, or not pragmatic, but attacking manager that I've started to say, okay, I'm willing to give him a shot, if that makes sense. And so for them to go back on this and not do it now would absolutely
You're muted.
Yeah, I was hollering at
okay.
coming and grumbling. Yeah, so I mean, for me, it would be totally a ridiculous step backwards for them to do this.
But isn't that hilarious? How, like, you know, we've gone from like having this guy linked to us and everybody losing their goddamn minds because he's not Conte and we have to Google him, and Roma were crap and blah blah blah. Now we've learned more about the context in which he has had to work the situation there. And we've learned more about his history and his style of play and everything. And it seems like not as bad an idea as it. And now it's like, if we don't get Fonseca, you look at the comments, like people are going to be so angry, you know. But JP here from Tottenham Away with the super chat. Guys, got to go. Great show. Keep it up. You have to shout, Google, who's my Spurs manager? Who's Spurs manager?
I'm not sure if it's connected to the internet, though. Let's see. Google, who's this Tottenham Hotspur manager? I guess I have to say, hey, Google, who's the Tottenham Hotspur manager? Yeah, it's telling me it's not set up yet.
I wonder what it'll say. Sometimes they have like brilliant, funny answers plugged in, you know, who knows how much they know about that. But
Matty Head says he's ready for a bidding war. He'll do whatever it takes. David, challenge is yours now, my man. And then Jamie here is saying he just saw Alistair Gold said he would be announced next week. And where did he say that? Did you do a video today? I haven't seen the video today. Did he come out with a video
Twitter
today? But it's not on Twitter. I've literally just looked. It may be an older thing that you're seeing from last week. Possibly. I don't know. But I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I haven't seen any announcement on Twitter.
Looks like he did a Q&A with Football London just now.
That's not just now. That was earlier today. I skimmed through a little bit, and I didn't really see. It's actually an older thing that he just keeps retweeting. 4 hours ago.
I think they're just stalling. They're gonna announce him as taking the job effective July 1st. That's my guess. And I think that's primarily to do with the end of the fiscal year. I think that's partly why they've done that with Paratici as well, even though Paratici is doing work for Spurs and he's still technically on the payroll at Juventus. I think it's just an accounting mechanism.
So next week. But was that next week today or next week? Next week. Because last week they were saying next week. So now it's next week again? I haven't seen that. I'm sure if Matt Hayes said it, he definitely has a source. Matt doesn't say stuff without having a source. I haven't seen anything from Ali Gold, man. Trust me, especially over the last 72 hours, I've been reading every piece of Ali Gold tweet that I have, and I haven't seen anything on that. In fact, I saw that it was going to be announced on Wednesday, like 22 hours ago. So unless something's changed in the last 22 hours that I've missed, because I read the piece, a little piece on Paulo Fonseca, and will benefit from unusually in recent times a normal preseason with his new Spurs players this summer. I've read the little piece and the changes being made to Fonseca's backroom staff from June 14th, and then all of the stuff that's on that. And then also notifications from, I tend to like, one of my great sources is Hotspur related. They tend to retweet or tweet out in very simple, short, 1 or 2 sentences, information that comes from other sources like, Florentina, they're a good, he's a good, I guess you could say, portal to find all the different information, and then you can go and find that individual source and read it for yourself to find out the full statement. And so I haven't seen him tweet anything out about it being delayed.
Looks like Chris asked Google, and Google still thinks Ryan Mason is the man. I guess technically he is, right? Because he hasn't been dismissed and he hasn't been replaced. So Google would rightly think that. That's funny. Okay, so we've had some time now to educate ourselves a little bit on this guy, since he's not exactly a known quantity, at least not at the outset of being linked to him. I know there's a wide range of opinions on this. And like, some people are of the mindset that we shouldn't be accepting this guy as an appointment. Some people are saying that we should be supporting the manager regardless of what's going on. I think I fall somewhere in the middle of that, where, I can compartmentalize the team itself, the pitch, the team on the pitch, the manager, and then the ownership. So, like, I'm not going to criticize Paulo Fonseca for being Paulo Fonseca or for being hired. I support Tottenham Hotspur. When the games come around, I'll be happy to watch them again. I want the team to do well. I don't agree with a lot of what the ownership do, but if I'm going to vent about that, I'm not going to vent it towards this guy. How do you feel about this appointment now that we've had a few days to do a little bit of education?
Education regarding
Just learning his tactics and his history and his track record at the various clubs that he's been at.
Well, I don't think there's a whole lot of information out there on him, is there? I mean, there's a little bits here and there.
Well, you said you spent all night watching videos on him the one night.
Yeah, I did. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It only took one night.
Okay, so what is your opinion of the appointment? Aside from it being...
Well, I'm not excited about it. I made that clear even that day, right? So watching Tifo and going back and watching some of his tactic videos and really, I mean, the main majority of it was gamers who were trying to figure out how to use him as a manager in FIFA 20, right? So there's not a lot of information out there on him, right? He doesn't have a lot of history, and the history he does have is in obscure leagues, you know what I mean? It's difficult to say how he's going to perform in the Premier League. The Premier League is a completely different beast. It's a completely different animal. And I think this is the first time that we've ever had a manager who is a complete and utter novice in the Premier League. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but where'd that comment from Phil go? I just wanted to read that out. He says, I'm not convinced that Ali Gold is in the know in terms of announcements. He did his YouTube video at the weekend and said Patricio would be announced this week. He then got announced about 5 minutes later. It could be. It could be that he's, not doing this or that or the other thing. But
this is a good point from John. Says, I imagine the goons were equally as nonplussed when Arsene Wenger was appointed from the Japanese league. Like, I get the aversion to both managers and players who have no Premier League experience. I think that the Premier League is a different league than the other leagues. And it's always a gamble when you bring in a player or a manager who has no experience in those conditions. And we seem to be going full on with the appointment of both Paratici and Fonseca. Does it stink of rebuild to you? Does this, like, I know that everybody thinks Harry Kane isn't going anywhere, but one of the things, if you look at Paratici's track record, is he has a pretty decent record of selling players as well as buying them. There was a lot of movement, players in and out over the 11 years at Juventus. And like I said in my stream that I did on Paratici last week, it's really difficult to kind of quantify his role in all of their success. It's difficult to pin down how much he had to do, like, unless it was coming from his mouth or somebody who is absolutely in the know. Like, I know the guys at We Are Tottenham TV had Romeo Agresti, who's like the Ali Gold of Juventus, for a lack of a better term, and he was bubbly about Paratici. But there's other people who think that it was Giuseppe Morata who was the brains behind the success, and he left in 2018 to go to Inter, and now Inter are champions, and Juventus, you look at the season that they had, and there's a lot of people who have been critical of the transfers that have gone on since Paratici took over in the last 3 years, and you can't argue that the results haven't been great either. And they've had 3 managers in 3 years as well, so that never really helps to have that lack of continuity, unless you're Chelsea. But yeah, it's just I don't know if he's been brought in here to get like the maximum amount possible for Harry Kane. I don't know if he's been brought in here to put together the pieces that are going to put us in a position to win something in the next 3 years. Doesn't seem like the type of appointment, like, not only in terms of Fonseca, it doesn't seem like the type of appointment that is a win now appointment.
See, there you go. So Matt saying, just to clarify, he didn't confirm anything. It was Alistair who said it may be delayed until next week because Fonseca might have to quarantine when he comes to England. Yeah, so that sounds like speculation because I haven't seen anything from Fabrizio Romano or Di Maria or any of the other people who had come out and said that he would be appointed this week. Yeah, Matt's just reporting what Alistair said. And like Phil made fairly clear, Alistair seems to be a little behind the curve when it comes to a lot of this stuff. But look, yeah, as far as what you were saying, Cody, I definitely think that, you know, I think this is going to happen. And I think we have to let it happen. Matt says too, he says his sources have continued to say tomorrow. This was a small chance it would be today, but tomorrow is still expected from what I know. Thank you very much. So you've got it confirmed here from Matty Hayes, his lips himself. And there it is. But this is a perfect time in this space, and forgive me, Cody, while I was dealing with another issue over here, so I'm a little bit behind on what's been happening for the last 5 minutes. But this is a good opportunity to make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We want to get to 2,000. During the Euros, it seems a little bit weird. Maybe the people just aren't focused on Tottenham content, but regardless of the topic, it seems like viewership has been down a little bit since the Euro started. Is it the summer? Do we all suck?
I'm going to say it's probably, well, for one thing, we're coming off like a very hot news cycle for the last several weeks based on the managerial hunt. You know, all the different, go to Matt Hayes' YouTube channel on your PC or your laptop, and you see just thumbnail after thumbnail after thumbnail. I just took a screenshot the one day and posted on Twitter. I was like, pray for Matty Hayes, because like every single day was like, Conte's coming. Now Conte deal is off. Now who is this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, so when there's polarizing information, that's when you get people coming on in droves. And like you said,
I mean, I've even seen like We Are Tottenham TV Euro watch-alongs. The numbers are just low compared. I mean, there's like 1 to 2K in the chat most of the times, and we're talking like the numbers that are on here right now. I mean, 60, 70 people, which for that channel I thought was absolutely shocking.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday during what game was it? The midday game yesterday. David and Jack were doing like a Euros preview show, and they had like 25 viewers for a lot of it, and then it started to go up. But no, I think maybe everybody is just needing to take a little break as well. You know, like it's been a very long season. That
even doing watch-alongs for the club, I've noticed that, and Matt could probably confirm this too. During the 45 minutes of the match, the viewership tends to drop pretty significantly. So like doing a watch along, I've done several of them on Matt's channel, and I've done them on my own. Before the build up before the game, you tend to have a good chunk. Then as soon as the whistle blows, it drops because people tend to get off to focus on the match or do whatever. Halftime, you know, after the first 45, the viewership rises again. Then and then it's usually after the match when the viewership really starts to pump. So there is, in a watch along, there is a lot of up and down, up and down, up and downs in viewership. But I just thought it was interesting, or maybe too, I was just thinking, man, is the fan base just so beat down and pulverized by all of this roller coaster news that they just said,
Spurs fatigue.
I'm done. I don't need anything.
Yeah, well, it is tough. It is tough. Like,
no kudos. I don't mind small viewership, but I mean, I think it really depends on how many people are active in the chat, right?
when you get thousands of people in the chat, it's just flying by so fast that there's not really a connection with the people watching. But I would say that anywhere, to 500 or less, 500 to 600 people watching a live stream at a time, it's still coming through slow enough, especially if I, as the creator, turn on slow mode, where you can manage that and people can feel like they're connected to the deal. We're not looking. So Matt says, yeah, that's spot on, Will. My build-up often hit 500 and dropped to 150 for the game. Slight increase at halftime, then a massive shot after full time, especially after defeats. Yeah, 100%, Matt.
Look, I'll confess, like I watch tons and tons of Spurs YouTube channels, and but I don't watch watch-alongs. I don't ever watch watch-alongs. I want to watch the game. I don't have the capacity to digest what's going on both screens, and it's a pain in the ass here because there's a delay. So like I have to delay the stream first, which is not a big deal. But if I'm gonna come on and talk about a game in the aftermath, I have to be able to like digest what's going on, because I haven't been a football fan my whole life. I need to pay attention. There's still lots of things that I don't know about football that I need to pay attention to. So, yeah, I know what Kudos was saying too in the chat, where he said, small channels are good. Like sometimes,
you feel like family, more of a community.
Yes. Sometimes there'll be like 8-10 people watching at one of the smaller channels, and you go in there and there's so few comments that it's almost like you can go on and be a part of the panel without actually going on the screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, that's why we have for us here at this channel, that's why we have that rant show on Saturday nights. I know it's late for a lot of people in the UK. And look, if people in the UK want us to do a rant show at a different time, Cody may not be available for it, but I may. So just let us know. Throw us in the comment. If you're watching back a rant show and you want us to do one that, that happens at, I don't know, 11 or 12 UK time. I don't. We'd have to do it on a different day though. I'm not going to do that back to back on a Saturday from 7 to 1 a.m. Because I don't want to not do the one. I don't want to just move it to 7 and just say forget it, because it does help us really reach a lot of a lot of the Asian guys, like a lot of the folks in the Korea in the afternoon when it comes on, they're able to watch back. But and go ahead and throw that back up there, Jerry McNeil. He says, even with Spurs managerial search fatigue, still watching you guys. That says something. Great job of content. Thank you. We appreciate it. Look, we're just two bald gits talking about Spurs, and we just like to have fun. I think that both of us tend to orient. I can't even talk now. Well, and we bounce off each other well, and we can just talk about nothing for an hour and a half, and it can be fun.
Sometimes people just want to have something on in the background that they don't want to pay. Like my wife does that all the time. Like she'll be working on something, she'll just have something, some trash on the screen that she doesn't care if she's listening to or not. That's us.
Yeah, I mean that's us. Put us on there. Just throw. Hey, look. Hey. Before you go to bed, turn the volume down all the way down and just hit play. We don't care. Hey, every view is a view, right? I don't have any pride on that. Just hit play and go. Go grab a playlist, one of our playlists on our YouTube page, and just hit play on the whole thing and just let it run. We got Sports Analytics saying hello, lads. What's going on, man? If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button too. Jerry, he says he's a bald and bearded listener here, and maybe as this show evolves, we'll start bringing on some other bald and bearded folks. But that'll be the only key. You have to be bald and you have to be bearded. So we're gonna have a bunch of people growing beards and shaving their head just to be able to come on the show. What do you think?
You know what? We have enough bald and bearded pundits on YouTube too. We starting to look like some kind of roaming gang of supervillains. Like
right. 100% sure. True. And Full Work says I listen to while I work. I do that a lot too. But look, with this Fonseca thing, I haven't heard your objections to it, Cody. You've talked around the subject for a while, and but I haven't heard you really necessarily give your opinion.
Well, it's a difficult one to like, because in some respects, I don't think that Conte was ever a realistic possibility, right? I don't buy that they were down at the table, sitting, hammering out negotiations, and the paper was there, and he was just about to sign it. And oh no, now we're not going to get him. Looked like mostly PR. I have more of a problem with the process than I do with the appointment. The thing is, like, I know that people are like, oh, we should be bringing in somebody with pedigree, somebody who's a proven winner. We just did that, like, we're a project. We literally are a project right now. So you bring Conte in, and the thing is, like, I get why people want Conte, because it would signal a change in behavior. But were we ever really confident that that was going to be the case anyway, or we were going to take a Ferrari driver and put him in a freaking jalopy, So I don't want to sound like I'm just, stroking the ego of the management or the owners, because I'm obviously not pleased with them, and I've made that clear. But if this signals the beginning of the rebuild that Pochettino foresaw years ago, if they finally sat down and looked at, okay, we tried to like resuscitate our Champions League dreams by bringing in Jose Mourinho, and then the pandemic hit, and whatever, you want to make excuses, that's fine. But if they've finally sitting down and taken a step back and looked at the overall scale of the problems that we have at Tottenham Hotspur and have decided that this is the beginning of the rebuild, I can get behind that. I'm not the kind of fan who's like, we need to be winning right now and we need to be winning all the time. Winning at this level in professional sport is extremely difficult. You need to have a ton of planning, a ton of resources, and a ton of luck as well. Unless you're the likes of Manchester City, who can just hemorrhage cash at the problem whenever you please and flirt with financial fair play. I'm not happy about the way that our club is run. But if I'm going to like have a healthy relationship with my football club, semi-healthy, then I need to, at least from the perspective of as a viewer, I need to accept that this is how things are. Doesn't mean that I accept it on a scale that I won't rail against ENIC on Twitter, and I won't talk about Daniel Levy in a negative light, and I won't dish out criticism where criticism is deserved, and I won't have a questioning angle when they do business. But at the same time, I don't want to be unhappy all the time when I think about Spurs. I don't want to be negative about everything that happens at Spurs. And I'm not saying that anybody who is in that headspace isn't entitled to be there. There are people who have been supporting this club for way longer than I have. People who were born in North London, whose family for generations have been Spurs fans, who on the long view are just fed up with everything that's going on, and they don't want to accept Fonseca. For me, I just want a direction, because we've seen that the model that ENIC wished to execute can be done properly, and it can be successful. Leicester City are the example that I'm talking about. Leicester City, FA Cup winners. Leicester City, Premier League champions, right?
Yeah.
They are doing what we should be doing. We are trying to do that same thing on some levels. I'm not saying exactly the same. No two organizations have the same modus operandi, but they're definitely just a whole lot better than that. So if this is a turning point, which I want to believe that it could be in the appointment of Paratici and Fonseca, absolutely, I'm going to try and approach it from the standpoint that I want to give these guys a chance. I want to give these guys a chance to show what they're capable of. I want to give them a chance to show why they've had success at other clubs, whether they're banter clubs or Ukrainian clubs, or whether they were only partially responsible, whether it was the Italian league, whatever. I want to see what happens before I start dishing out criticism and judgment.
Yeah.
You know?
I
So
don't disagree with you. I don't necessarily disagree with you at all. I have, but there's some comments that came through while you were kind of talking, and he said, "First 72 says Fonseca will be our new manager, and we will win 3 cups. Book it." If we win 3 cups with Fonseca, that'll be crazy. If I were you, I'd go put a bet on that right now. Because
he does have a history of doing well in cup competitions. Now,
look,
yeah,
and then
it's tough to.
I got another one here. And so Phil, he said, I'm not pro Fonseca. However, I am amazed at the claims of him having less pedigree than, say, like an Eric Ten Hag. Is the Edelweiss any less of a close shop than the Ukraine? He made Champions League qualify or quarterfinals. ETH got to semifinals, hardly miles apart. I won't disagree with you that the Edelweiss is any less of a closed shop than Ukraine. But this is the only difference that I see. Ajax as a club is world renowned for their academy, their training principles, right? Their system, right, is reliable and trustworthy. There are children who would rather go to an Ajax academy than Spurs academy, right? So that is the only difference, right? Nobody's like wanting to go to Shakhtar Donetsk academy, right? Like that's not a thing. No little boy dreams about going to the that lives outside of the Ukraine, rather, that dreams about going to Shakhtar Donetsk academy. So when you become a manager there, you are brought up in and surrounded by a system that breeds success. And yes, it's breeding it at a lower level than the top 5 leagues in Europe. I'm not saying that that's not true. But what I'm saying is you can't go and spend years at Ajax as a manager and not have some of the positive things rub off onto your character, right? Is what my point is. So that for me is what separates Fonseca and Ten Hag. But performance-wise, or quality of league that they play in, I don't disagree with you. I think they're fairly similar. Peace. But also too, if you guys want to help support the channel, make sure to throw in a super chat. We really appreciate those. They really help us improve our show to get on more platforms. Look, we're rolling all of that dough. Any of the dough that we make for here, we're rolling it back into the channel. You know, that's why we're moving out to different platforms. You know, like podcasts and stuff like that. Adding new shows. So any support that you guys can help us with, we greatly appreciate it too. Also, too, if you're watching for the first time, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. And look, guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, even more important than liking the stream, hitting that subscribe button and throwing in super chats when you can. The number one thing that you can help support this channel is to share the video with your friends. I mean, that is bigger than anything else. Just hit that share button. Throw it on your Facebook page. Throw it on your Twitter account. That right there, word of mouth, you know, tracking. Just say, you don't even have to say much. Just hit the share button and be like, boom, I really dig this show. Check it out. Throw it out there. That, if you guys would do that, if we could even get 15 people a show to do that, it would really, you know, we don't have big marketing things. We don't do big run ads and stuff like that to promote the channel. We're a small group. So sharing the video out with your friends, really could really help the channel grow, and that's free, doesn't cost anything. So please try and do that. Play that style, they were brought through the club to play that way. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what, like, look, for me, Ten Hag hasn't been a huge one either, but the only reason why I would say, look, for me, Ten Hag and Fonseca side by side, why do I pick Ten Hag? Is because he's come out of the IXD and that Ajax system, right? That's the only reason. That's the only reason. Ten Hag for me wasn't a first choice either, right? You had a Nagelsmann or a Conte or a Pochettino or something like that, where you actually know their style, you know how they play, you've seen the results. And with Pochettino not being cups, but I mean, you just see how his style of play and how he's interacted with the team.
I'll tell you one thing that I would level, a way that I would level criticism against the hiring of Fonseca is it seems so bloody reactionary to what just happened with Jose. Just in terms of, you could almost put them at opposite ends of the scale in some respects. And I'm not talking about like solely tactics. Jose, I know you don't think of Jose as being a defensive manager, but he is renowned for his ability to manage defenses, right? Yeah. This guy is reputed.
Being defensively sound doesn't mean you're defensive all the time. Yeah,
I understand. But this guy is everything that people are saying about this guy is just kind of goes against being defensive. Basically, it's like this guy plays exciting football. It's almost just a react, and the fact that the salary and everything. There's so many like. It's a very, because like what was the mood like? Because I don't remember what the mood was like when we hired Pochettino. Like Pochettino came from Southampton. He hadn't really won anything at the time. Yes, he was in the Premier League and he was impressing, but I mean, do you remember what the mood around Poch was when we first appointed him? Was he like, how long has it been since Tottenham as an organization and as a fan base have wanted like top level managers?
Look, I don't think that people were necessarily. I don't think Pochettino was a super famous appointing, but I don't think anybody was really shocked. You have to understand that Pochettino was appointed after this. You're talking Tim Sherwood, AVB, right? Kind of fiasco. So it was a kind of a group of core managers after the Harry Redknapp era that was just kind of like Emiazin says, it was just somber. It was like, okay. Right. It wasn't a very, and I don't think that's true. I don't think everyone disliked Poch. That's not true. That's not the thing where people were talking. People were skeptical about the appointment, but they had seen what he had done with Southampton, right? So the difference between Pochettino, and Fonseca for me is that Poch had proved that he could be success out of the Premier League, but it wasn't exciting. Yes, there you go. Similar, and we're just glad that Sherwood had gone. But for me, when Pochettino came in, was I excited? No, I wasn't excited. But you have to understand that Poch, the club as a whole hadn't had a length of success to where I guess you could say that we as supporters expected quality, like super good quality. Like we weren't expecting to be coming with Jose and Conte and managers like that. So for the same reason, I was okay with Poch coming in at the time. For the same reason that I was okay with, like, if we would have gotten Nuno Espirito Santo, because he had come out of obscurity, took in a lower bit team, and brought them up into the top 8, right, consecutively. Other than this season, obviously, because of Jimenez's head injury. So that's the kind of mentality that I had with Pochettino, right? That yes, he was not a proven manager, but he had done a good thing with an average team. And then the first season under Pochettino was kind of rough. But then after that, it was magic, So
Yeah.
If people disagree with me in the chat, I mean, I haven't seen anybody disagree with me, but that's how
No,
I felt.
I think everybody is. I think the only one who really said that he was excited was Eugene. Yeah, I guess my point is like,
But I don't think everybody was upset either, like Ben said.
no, but there was probably quite a bit of blowback over it, especially just the way the first year would have gone. Yeah, I guess my point is like, we don't exactly have a long history of being a destination for top managers, do we? Jose might have been the first one, you know? It's almost the pattern with our managers almost mimics the pattern with our players. You know, we don't really sign big name players, not that often. Not. I mean, you could say Ndombele is in that he was kind of sought after, but generally speaking, we take chances with those lower investment players, the likes of Dele Alli, and we try and bring in academy players. Doesn't always work. I mean, we don't have a long history of producing great talent out of the academy, but we also don't have a long history of being a great team. So, I mean, just in terms of the Enoch era.
And look, yeah, as far as the Enoch is concerned, and like Potch too, that first year was kind of a rebuilding year. I mean, he was getting rid of the dead wood, right? And look, Fonseca, I will be your biggest fan. If that's all you do this next season, is clear out the trash.
Yeah, I agree.
If you take out the trash, I don't care if we finish 10th. If you take out the trash, I will be satisfied as a fan, for me personally. Because then that means the club is moving in the right direction. Right now, if we keep hanging on to these average players who are costing us points week in, week out, we're just going to continue to suffer through this roller coaster of 5 good results, 5 bad results, 5 good results, 5 bad results. And to me, that's worse. It's worse. The roller coaster of thinking that we're something and then realizing we're nothing. That to me is far worse. We got Spurs 72. He says, "Keep up the good, positive work, guys. Come on, you Spurs." Thank you for that super chat, man. It really means a lot. And for other people too, if you want to help, if you want to be like Spurs 72, get your super chats in. Don't be a levy with your super chats, as David would say. It really helps the channel. And look, I've taken the first step. I've invested in you guys. Like all this stuff, people wonder, why does Will's camera look better than any other Spurs YouTuber? It's because Will has invested in this channel for you guys out of my own pocket. To make sure that you guys have the best quality possible. And we're getting stuff for Cody too. And we're going to up Cody's game. We're going to eventually up Mr. K's game. So all of the money that you put into the channel helps that happen. And Cody's already upped his game. He's got dual monitors. He's rocking. He's learning the lighting game, right? And we help that. We hope that it just keeps getting better and better and better.
So what do you want to see next? I mean, let's assume that Fonseca at some point here in the near future is gonna get announced officially. So we'll have our core group sorted in terms of management. We've already been linked with some players in the last 7 to 10 days. Clearly, to me, it's a clear sign that Paratici is trying to hit the ground running. What do you want to see this summer, and what do you think will happen? Like, because realistically, it's going to be a difficult summer to do the amount of work that needs to be done. We know that this is not a one transfer window problem at Tottenham Hotspur. There's a lot of players that are going to have to be turned over here in the next 3 or 4 windows. But what would be enough for you to say, I'm excited about the direction of the club now? How many players would have to go out, and who would they be?
One more time. I keep getting interrupted, so one more time.
Oh yeah. Summer transfer window. Who do you want? What would get you excited in terms of business? How many players of the Deadwood do you think will be able to move on? Because I saw today, like, we had been linked really heavily with getting rid of Serge Aurier, and there was some cold water poured on that this morning, saying that PSG have said no, whereas the rumors were saying that they were going to give us 20 million euro for him, which everybody would have just woo.
Was Daniel Levy out there trying to stoke the fire and get more, and that's why they've said no? I mean, or is it just no, we don't want him at all?
No idea. But like, for me, if we moved 4 players and we brought 4, even if we only brought in 3 and replaced the other spot with, Skippy or Sessegnon, or if we got rid of 4 of the players that, in my opinion, need to be moved, that would be a good start. That would be a good start.
Yeah, I look, at least 4. I think the defensive ones need to be handled first. The Deadwood up the field can wait. But my priority would be Eric Dyer, Sanchez, Winks. Those 3 have to go first for me.
I don't think Winks is going.
Because the temptation to play them is too great, and when they do play, it's too detrimental to the team.
I don't think he's going.
He needs to go.
Yeah, I know he does, but I don't think he's going.
He must go first.
If I had to put money on it, the 4 players that I think will go in the summer would be Serge Aurier, Moussa Sissoko, 1 center back, and I say that because I just think they'll sell whoever can net the biggest price between Dyer and Sanchez, or even Toby. Depends on how many center backs they want to bring in. A lot of rumors saying that they want to bring in 1, maybe 2. And then probably Lamela. Lamela would be another one, because he's coming into the last year of his deal as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Hugo moved on this summer as well.
Look, Sissoko, I think for him, like Sports Analytics here. Whoops, wrong person. It keeps moving when I'm trying to click. Sissoko, Lamela. I don't think Sissoko's not good going forward. He's not good attacking wise, but I don't think he's ever cost us a match. Right? Can you ever remember a time where you're like, we lost today because of the way Sissoko performed? So for me, that's why the 3 that I mentioned were the most important for me. Lamela is the same way. Lamela can go. I think Lamela probably will go. I think it's fairly safe to say that he either goes this year or he goes 100%. And then Full Works putting in the £5. Didn't add a comment to that, but if your comment comes through earlier, we'll go ahead and make sure to read it out.
Thank you.
And then Gogama with a fancy super sticker. We really appreciate that, Gogama. You're an amazing support to the channel and just a fun person in general to talk to. Funny story. We were in the We Are Tottenham TV chat yesterday, and Gogama and I were conversing back and forth in Korean. And I said, if we keep talking like this in Korean, people think we're going to be talking crap. And I said, especially if we start putting Cody Mac's name in there. And so she's like, in English. So she started to say, well, then I guess we'll have to write it in Korean so people don't know what we're talking about. I said, no, that's the funny part. When we start throwing people's names in there, they immediately assume that we're talking trash. And then sure enough, about 5 seconds later, Wesley is in there in the chat, throwing it out there. Will's talking crap about Cody in Korean. It was pretty.
You're a bad influence. Gogama, you leave Gogama alone. She's a nice girl.
Yeah.
I know you're nice. I know you, Gogama. You're my favorite. But Will.
But we weren't talking bad about him though. We were literally just talking about you, but not bad about you, right? I was literally throwing your name as in there in English on purpose to troll the people that were watching, right?
Honestly, I think if you did talk trash about me, I think Gogama would probably confess, because she wouldn't be able to She wouldn't be able to do me like that, you know?
But yeah.
French lineup's out. Yep. I could maybe share screen if we want to do it that way.
Yeah, but look, for me, it's the guys that cost us matches that have to go. Benzema, Mbappe, Griezmann, Rabiot, Pogba, Conte, Hernandez. Who's the center back? Varane, of course.
Mpembe.
Who's the right back? Can't read the text.
Pavard.
So they're playing a 4-3-3, eh? Or a 4-4-2 diamond. Is Griezmann a number 10 though?
No.
I don't really think Griezmann is being a very, creative player. Or maybe he's like playing like in a false 9 position in a 4-3-3. But
there, that. Oh, sorry. That one has the German lineup on it too.
There you go.
This is an aging side, eh? The German side.
No, don't say that to Jack. He'll get mad. He'll get mad at you.
Oh no, I'm not saying they're bad. I guess they have a couple of young guns in there, but the guys that they rely on heavily, like Neuer is older, Hummels is older, Kimmich and Cruz and even Gundogan are a little bit older. Thomas Muller is older.
Yeah, all about 28, man. Like I was telling, like the average age for the side is 27.7 years or something like that, almost 28 years.
I think we got about 13 minutes before this game kicks off, and I think we'll be just you and me talking to each other.
That's all right. I don't think so. I think people watch around. I don't think people are connected to it as they need to be. But I just think that for Germany, what I don't see a lot of even if you pull out the guys who are 25 and 22, you're only talking like 3 or 4 guys that are 25, right? Like Gnabry and some of the, I can't remember all the other ones, but it's their midfield that kind of brings the average age down a little bit. And look, this old head with experience stuff, that's great, but I'm sorry, as an older person, and this is what I found really funny about it, was that people in their early 20s are telling me that the age doesn't matter. Cody can attest. When you hit 35 and you wake up in the morning after doing something strenuous that you would normally do every single day, and you're like, shit, I hurt, where you never used to hurt. Like, and 35 is the worst age for it too, because your brain still tells you that you're 20, but your body reminds you that you're not. Did you ever experience that?
So I have 2 older brothers, and the oldest is 7 years older than I am. And when he was my age now, so when he was 37 and I was 30, he warned me about this, right? And the way he said it is, you're just not smooth anymore. You do stupid shit that you never used to do when you were a little bit younger, like he fell down the stairs and put his hand through the drywall. Stuff like that. And now, like, every time I do something like that, that's the little voice in my head just says, I'm not smooth anymore. And it's true.
Yeah, but there's this point where where you wake up, like you go out and you play basketball, right? And you give in 110%. And normally where you would just wake up the next day and go about your business, you literally, like, the arches of your feet are sore. Like weird parts of your body that you would never think. So I'm telling you, just recovery, and especially in a game like this, in tournaments like this, where you're playing back to back to back to back matches every 2 and 3 days for a month, the older guys are taking a hit. I'm telling you, they are.
You
I'm
have
telling
you will get the odd freak. You will get the odd freak like
Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he's the only freak.
Ibrahimovic is a freak as well, although
He
it's
feels
caught up.
though. He just pushes through it, right? Like
It's
that's why
it's caught up with him a little bit. But Roger Federer is a freak.
Yeah, but Zlatan, he feels the pain though. That's why he'll come out and he'll play 2 or 3 matches, and he's got to take a 2 or 3 week break, and he comes out and plays 2.
I shouldn't have brought up Zlatan. You're going to go on a Zlatan tangent here.
No,
let's take the super chat.
But Dan Samaran with a $5 chat says, with no further changes, where do you rate the current Spurs squad? What would be a realistic league finish that doesn't get the manager sacked? With no further changes, we haven't made any changes. So with the current squad, 8th, 7th, that's where we finished. That's where I rate us. So, because we finished 6th and 7th the last 2 years with this squad without hardly very many changes. I don't think the manager is going to get anything other than a 6th or 7th place finish with this squad. I don't care what manager it is. Lord God Almighty could come down and manage them himself, and they'd get 6th or 7th, in my opinion.
Yeah, did you know that in the expected points table we were in 10th? I know that doesn't matter. Like Brighton would have been 5th on expected points, so we could all take that with a grain of salt. But I'm just going to bring up the Premier League table here so that we can give this question a little bit more. Okay, so I guess the question is who do I think that we are worse than? I think at best, if all the squads stay the same right now, we probably have the 6th best squad in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And so West Ham's squad is not better than ours, but
I think they're more balanced than us, though.
No, but this is the biggest problem with Tottenham at the moment, is that we are not the sum of our parts, because we've got parts that don't fit. And we've had managers that haven't been able to make the pieces fit together. West Ham, that's a masterclass. That is a David Moyes masterclass. He should easily win manager of the season. Easily. They were sitting in the Champions League spot all the way up until like the last 3 weeks of the season. So, and really, the games that we had head to head with them were the difference between us getting Europa and them getting Europa. So,
no.
But generally, unless who knows what they're gonna do? How many of these teams are gonna start to rearm a little bit? I'd say
Arsenal maybe. Arsenal's the only one that's scary because they do have a lot of good young players that have popped through that they've been forced to play this year. So this will be their 2nd season going into that, and they may be a little bit stronger. So if they restructure a little bit. Now, look, do I think that our squad's better than Arsenal's squad? Absolutely, I do. But if they were to improve and we weren't, that would be sketchy.
I sometimes don't make sense. Full works, that's for sure. I'm just saying, sometimes it's not about having 11 talented players on the field. Sometimes you need players who play specific roles, who may not be world class, but they do the jobs that other players aren't willing to do. Like John McGinn is a perfect example. There's not very many people that rate John McGinn, but he does a job for his squad. He plays a role and he plays it well. We have a lot of talented players, but we never seem to be able to put it all together on the pitch.
Another £5 here from Dale 1G. Look up Yoel Romero. He was 42 when he fought for a UFC belt and moved like a 25-year-old freak of nature. Also, Scotland's opening game had me in tears. Ginty. So is that you, Ginty, then? So Ginty's... Thanks for clarifying that, Ginty, that you are Dale 1G. So now we know who you are. I won't forget now. Anyway, thanks for watching, Ginty. I really like your stuff. Yeah, Scotland's opening game was a little bit disappointing. First half, I wasn't too upset with it. And then, the worldly goal, and then the wheels kind of fell off the bus there. Thanks for watching, Genty. And
do you think that Scotland stand a chance
there's always a chance
against England? I know there's always a chance, but like you got to play the games. You don't know when someone's going to
always
think, like,
stand a chance. We may not always take it, but we always stand a chance because we have that. There's that fight in us. You know what I'm talking about? There's that grit in every Scotsman, and it's by blood. Right? There's that angst, that in Korean they would call it han. That fire, that fiery desire. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Can you think of a Scottish footballer who's ever been accused of being kind of like a fluffy snowflake?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No.
Americans never make any sense. I think this is probably directed at me. First of all, I know you've already been corrected in the comments, but I will put my little beard flag in just so that you're not mistaking me for a nationality that I am not. Yeah, Germany, I mean, France. Look,
Germany is no good.
Look, all I'm trying to say is, like, if you put 11 Leo Messis on the field, it doesn't mean that they're going to be a good team.
Yeah, that's true. Right? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the England international squad, right? On paper, probably one of the best teams out there, but because there's a disconnect and the manager can't get a bit out of them, and it's not a very balanced squad, the results can sometimes be a little sketchy. You know what I mean? And I think that's the way that Tottenham is the exact same way. Look, on paper, do we have a better team than West Ham? I think we do. But do we have a more balanced team than West Ham? No, we don't. No, we don't. Our back six is in shambles. It's very, very weak. It's very, very weak.
What do you think? What do you think is the bigger problem? Do you think center backs are a bigger problem, or do you think our midfield is a bigger problem right now?
I think they both are. Right, other than Hoy, everybody back.
If you had to pick one or the other to address,
there's not. I can't because they're both in such shambles. It's literally out of that back line. The only people that I would continue to hold would be
Reguilon
and Højbjerg. Everyone else could go. Right? Like Toby can stay because he's Toby, but he's still, like I said, he's old. He's getting old, and you can see that his age, he gets skinned by young guys that he shouldn't be getting skinned by. You know what I mean? But he's still got the good awareness, and he can do different things like that. Right? But if we ever want to play attacking football again, where we're playing a high press with a high back line, he's going to get skinned. Right? Toby Alderweireld, it cannot keep up with the pace. Right? In that back line. Not only that, it was always Jan Vertonghen who was the one that had the legs, the wheels, in that double pairing under Pochettino when we were playing a high press and a high back line. Right? It wasn't Toby, wasn't the one who was making it back. I don't think people have to understand that if you're going to play attacking football with a high press and a high back line, you have to have pace. Right? You have to have defenders that can match the speed and the pace of the counterattack of your opponent. And old people just can't do that as well. Right? It was the same thing with Wanyama, right? When his knees went, when his legs went, in Ndombele, yes, Toby does make mistakes. He gets skinned. You're wrong. To say that Toby's never made a mistake is an absolute fallacy. If how full works, I'm sorry, mate. Or Mins.
I think I probably agree with Dan N in the comments, who thinks that the center backs are more of an issue. Although I of course, like, the midfield needs addressed, but you watch a guy like Giovanni Lo Celso play for Argentina. Now he only made it 67 minutes, but I don't know. Did you see any of his performance?
hold on. First, I have to do this. Where he missed one tackle. Anyway, he's like the Sheringham defense. He doesn't need pace back in the day. Look, back in the day, they played a completely different style of football. They didn't play high back lines. They played a Jose Mourinho style of football where you don't need pace. The reason why Jose Mourinho played the style of football we had to play is because we didn't have pace in the back line. That's why when we played a different formation and he threw Sanchez in, it ended up killing us, right? Because we don't have a solid center back with pace who cannot make mistakes. And he says, no, Will, for 2 seasons, there was a stat. He still made mistakes where he made one mistimed one tackle. He's mistimed more than just one tackle. There's a couple of tackles that he's made mistakes. Toby's made mistakes. He has. He hasn't been perfect. He's great. Don't get me wrong. But he's not. He's no Virgil van Dijk. Just saying. That was when he was paired with Jan Vertonghen. I'm sorry, I just don't agree with you that I think Vertonghen was the better out of the pair. Am I wrong? In the pairing between Toby and Vertonghen was the better defender, in my opinion. Right? Of course, no player is perfect. That's my point.
I agree with your point that I wouldn't. It wouldn't set me off if we saw Toby out the door as long as we replaced him with somebody younger and better. You know, unfortunately, like we talk about how Toby makes the players around him better. I think that's more of an indictment of the players around him than it is a compliment to Toby. Like we need to bring in somebody who's much better than Toby. We need to bring in a center back who can make Toby better. But I don't know. Is Toby got 1 year left on his deal?
I think he signed a 3-year deal when Jose first came in. So I think he's got 2 years left this season and next season. But don't quote me on that. You'd have to look it up on SofaScore when his contract. Van Dijk
is kind of
was playing
the last
Villa
chance for us.
17, but not on the right. You have to understand that Jack Grealish is the one that tore Liverpool up in that 7-2, and it was Gomez who got twisted, and what's his name? The right back. Why can I not think of his name right now?
Who are you trying to think of? Serge Aurier? What?
No, Liverpool's right back.
Trent?
Yes, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Thank you. Who got spun by him? So Trent Alexander-Arnold started the season off really poorly for Liverpool, and it was Jack Grealish on the left that tore Liverpool a new one in that 7-2. Van Dijk can't stop the entire Aston Villa midfield, but nothing's wrong with Roden. I like Roden. I don't remember saying anything wrong with Roden. Did you say something about Roden?
No, I do wonder why he was exiled there at the end of the season, though.
I'd have to watch that back, Arsar. I'd have to watch that back. What I remember from that game is the attack. Jack Grealish on the left was splitting people left and right. There you go. There's the stats. Can't argue with them. That looks pretty bad, to be honest with you, percentile wise.
It's tough because these go back 1 year, so it's all under Jose.
Season.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. Clearances is the only thing that he ranks 80 or higher in. It's just the age. I'm telling you, it's age. right? He can't, and that's the thing with age is he's got to be rotated, right? He's not going to be able to play 52, 55 games a season like Højbjerg did, right? That's the thing. He has to be rotated because of his age.
Yeah.
It takes longer to recover as you get older. So having old, look, if you had like 2 guys in their 30s playing center back, dude, that would be rough. You're just asking for something to happen. Yeah, Brandon Sebastian aged with off partnerships. I agree. Doesn't matter if the team was bad, right? The team was bad. But his performance, I'm just saying, well, you guys are getting me wrong. I think that Toby Alderweireld is a great center back. It's just age. Look, age plays a factor into this. It plays a factor. Even Cristiano Ronaldo, with his body being a holy temple, where he can't even have Coca-Cola sitting in front of him in a press conference, can't play the same way that he did when he was in his 20s. He can't. He's had to adjust his game to where he runs less, right? So I'm saying even somebody, and Toby Alderweireld is not a physical specimen like Cristiano Ronaldo is. I'm sorry, he's not. Right? He's not.
Do you think Toby is a problem for off the field?
No, I'm saying I didn't pick him. The reason why I didn't pick him was because he's old, right? Look, if I'm going to pick people to keep in the squad going forward, right? If I was the boss, Toby Alderweireld's not going to be the first one in my list. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Toby's a bad player. I'm not. He's just old. That's why in my mind, if you're going to go and buy people, the reason why you would need 2 center backs is because Toby's old. Yeah, he can play a role. He can come in. He can help manage, but he's not going to be able to play week in and week out. He just physically can't do it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, we're not in the midst of a competitive window for Tottenham. Not in terms of if you're talking about titles, Premier League titles. We're not even close to getting into the Champions League.
Let alone get too upset about honest conversations about players, man. You guys really need to. Yeah, Reguilon was horrible. I agree with you, Genty, 100%. Second half of the season, but first half of the season, he was amazing, right? And the dude's like 22. Right? I have more grace for young players than I do for somebody who's 31, 32. Yeah, but that own goal against Villa, dude, you couldn't replicate that 1,000 times if you tried, right?
That was like a hole in one. That was like getting a hole in one.
To swing at it like that and have it glance off with that much pace right in the top corner, I don't think that can be replicated with that much pace. You might be able to find the location again, but you're not going to get that same power on it.
Man, if you did that and you were trying to do it, that would be a Puskas goal. Literally, like
on the other side of the pitch. Yeah, that would have been a Puskas.
Yeah.
Bale's another prime example. Because of age, you just can't perform. Right? You can't move like you used to move. That's what happens when you get old. Even Cristiano Ronaldo, who I can't remember a time where he's been out with injury for more than maybe, 10 matches in the last 5 years, even at his age of 34, 35 years old. He's just not the same physical specimen. He cannot run. He cannot move like he did. Okay, now Ginty, but too, that hospital pass that Winks made to him didn't help. Right? Granted, I hold Reguilon. His clearance. Reguilon's clearance ability is poor. Right? His clearance ability is poor. He seems to be like a very excitable guy. Like even if you just look at his face, right? He always looks like he's very intense and excitable. Those guys tend to work the ball forward a lot. But they tend to make silly mistakes. Let's just be honest. His ability to clear the ball is poor. But that pass, he played the ball out successfully to Winks, and Winks played the ball right back to him. Right? And then he tried to clear it and it bounced off the Villa player, and he ended up going into the goal. But, yeah. His clearances are poor, and I could realize that without even looking at the stat. But thanks for throwing that up there, Cody. That just proved me right.
Okay, so back to the original question.
Could be
Who are your
Jinty,
four
that's
players?
why.
Who are your four players then that are like top of your list? Just to recap.
To get out, we
Yeah.
got to go. Dyer, Winks, Sanchez.
That's it.
One more. I'm just prioritizing in my head. Lamella. Those four got to go.
Oh man, you'd keep Aurier over those guys. You keep Sissoko. Yeah.
Sissoko's never made
Aurier's-
a lost a match, right? He's just not helpful.
Yeah, we can't say that about Aurier.
Aurier scored more goals than Lamella had. Aurier scored more goals this season than Lamella has in the last 4. So look at that, 5 attacking returns from a right back. It's not bad, right?
Have you seen his defensive down here? Like he's 99th percentile or 98th percentile in pressures, tackles, and aerials for right backs.
I'm telling you, Aurier is not that bad. His thing is it's just mistakes, right? If Aurier could get rid of those mistakes, he'd be a class.
That's
right
the thing. Like, but Aurier wants out. It's pretty obvious he wants out.
Aurier, yeah, but that's why Aurier, when he's on form, right, when he's had 2 or 3 consistent games, everybody's calling him for him to be, the starting right back. I'm serious. When he's on form, he's good. But then, boom, anytime inconsistent, he's gone. You know what I mean? And he can cost us a match.
How many matches do you think Aurier played in the Prem this year?
So wait, Dan, are you talking about Sissoko in the Champions League final? That would, like, this year that wouldn't even have been a pen, or maybe it would have. But that's a horrible pen. Sissoko wasn't even looking at the guy playing the ball. Mane totally took advantage. He was pointing to somebody here, mark that guy, pulling his arm down, and Mane hit his arm. Right? It's not that he had his arm out to do something. He was literally talking to somebody, and Mane just on a set piece, and Mane just hit him with the ball. I don't blame Sissoko for that penalty. That was just.
Well, Aurier gave away the foul in the League Cup final, and Sissoko lost his man who scored the goal that lost us the cup. Like, I don't want to boil down a player's time at Spurs down to one play. But if a player like Serge Aurier has expressed his open desire to leave the club, I say get him out.
You can go if you want. I'm saying the people that I think need to go, must go, must leave.
I hear you.
I'm not saying Aurier should stay. You asked me who the 4 people I say were must goes, right? Those are people that must go.
Yeah, see, I put Aurier in there because he wants to go. You can't have players like that hanging around. You can't have somebody on your squad that's going to leave the stadium at halftime.
Because he runs the dressing room, because Sissoko runs the dressing room or is influential in the dressing room, and he likes to, be anti-Mourinho or something like that, then yeah, that could be a reason to get Sissoko out. But no, for me, Winks has to go. Harry Winks has to go.
I'm telling you, he's not going.
He has to leave. He has to leave. I never want to see Harry Winks put on a Spurs shirt again.
Okay.
Eric Dyer has to leave. Sanchez has to leave.
Of the current squad, who do you think can benefit from the appointment of Paulo Fonseca? Who might be, because you could really probably draw a line down the middle of the squad and say these players I'd be fine saying goodbye to, these players I don't want to see go. A change in manager could change the fortunes for some of these players. Like Kudos is saying, Sergio Reguilon would flourish.
Sure.
Under
Doherty could do better. Although again, I think Matt Doherty's old. How old's Matt Doherty? 28.
28. So's Aurier.
Yeah. But Matt, Matt's, different. He just doesn't look like he's as fit.
He's 29. Turned 29 in January.
There you go. I'm just saying he's getting to the point where he just doesn't have the pace anymore.
Here's a hot take. Dele Alli stands the biggest chance.
Hey, yeah, I think Dele Alli could be improved by Fonseca. But the problem is that's all down to Dele Alli, and if he actually wants to work for it. Does he actually want to work?
It would be the most Levy thing ever to bring a manager in hoping that he would specifically turn around Dele Alli.
Aurier does like discipline. I don't understand why people are going at me. I don't like Aurier. I'm just saying that he's not someone who must leave the club. He's not 5 attacking returns. That's 5. He's had 5 attacking returns. I mean,
have you ever heard Stelios talk about Harry Winks?
No.
He says that Harry Winks came up as like a number 10, like a much more attacking player, and that he's being played out of position because of the likes of
plays the balls backwards and sideways. Attacking players don't do that.
Well, he's talking about when he came up through the academy, right?
Wow. I'd have to watch him play in the academy and see if he did the same thing then. Right there are young number 10s who instead of creating chances tend to play the ball backwards. I mean, you can say that all you want, but I'd have to see him playing at that age before I could agree or disagree with your opinion. I'm not saying Stelios was wrong. What I'm saying is, I can't take that based off of just words. I have to see it for myself before I can make an educated opinion on it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let's flip the question around and say, okay, so 4 players, we've decided personally who we would move on. What 4 players would you want to bring in?
What 4 players would I want to bring in? Look, center backs aren't my forte. So to go out there, I can rate center backs when I watch them play. Like I know who's good at it and who's not good at it. But let's just put it this way: I don't go around looking at other leagues well enough to have a super educated depth view of what center backs out there needs to come in and look good. Because when I'm watching the team, I'm not looking at the other team's center backs performance. I'm just not. To be honest with you, I just don't care. When we are going forward, I'm looking at our attacking players and their movement in and off the ball, so not looking at what the defense that we're playing against. So I will leave that to Marcelo. So I'll take 2 spots out of that 4, and leave those for Marcelo to fill. So I'll leave 2. What other 2 players do I want to bring in? I think that we need to bring in a midfielder and a right winger. I think that those 2 positions are essential. I think we need to bring in, and again, Sabitzer, he's an older fella. But for 15 million, if we can really get him for 15 million, I'd take that because that's cheap, right? And he's a good player and he can score some goals and he's more solid, I guess you could say, in the short term. He's going to be able to come in and really just kind of go. And then I would like, to be honest with you, as number 8, if money were no object, I'd go out and get Weston McKennie. I think we missed out on that appointment after watching him in that Mexico-US game. Could you imagine McKennie as the 8 and Højbjerg as the 6? That guy's everywhere, box to box. You want to talk about work ethic, man? I think would you rather have Sabitzer or McKennie? Look, I think Sabitzer is easier to get. I don't think McKennie's going to be leaving Juventus anytime soon. But if they were both sitting on a plate for the same amount of money, I'd
take McKennie
simply because of his age.
Yeah.
And too, watching the way that he's played, man. I mean, that kid is just heart and passion, dude. Heart and passion. Heart and passion. Heart and passion. Sabitzer's good. Creative. And then I think we need to get Leon Bailey in there. We need a right winger who can score 10 goals a season. And right now we don't have one. Right? 10 goals a season and at least 15 goal contributions a year. We need someone who can at least put up half of Sonny's numbers on the right. And we don't have it. We don't have it. They said not can't. Well, look, right back to me is not that big of a deal, especially if we're playing in a 3 at the back type of situation. You have Doherty, and I would actually play Bergwijn as a right wing back. That's why I'd play him. That's how I'd play him. That's how I'd make up for that thing, because right wing, we need right-sided attackers. We just do.
I'm not convinced that he's going to want to implement a back three here, even though, like, as we've seen in the comments, and I tend to agree, that like our fullbacks would benefit immensely from playing in a system that employs a back three. Because he didn't start out at Roma using that formation. Kind of used that formation out of necessity. So I'm not sold that that's what he's going to try and employ here. I'd be fine with it. I don't know. Some people think that the back three is too defensive and that, you know, you can never play like exciting football, but I think
it's not true though. It's not true. A 3-4-3 is very attacking.
Yeah.
3-4-3 can be very, very attacking.
I agree.
It all depends on the system that they're playing it in. Looks like France just scored. Patinci asked, Bale had 11 and 20, so he extend his loan. Look, if we don't sign anybody else, yes, because we have no one else on the right who can put up those numbers. Right? Lucas Moura is not a very good right winger. I think he plays a lot better in that number 10 spot. I said it all season long. It really made me mad that the last, especially against Leeds and Villa, that it wasn't Lucas Moura who was playing that number 10. I think Dele being there really slowed the game down and really cost us a lot of positive movement forward and breaking presses against those teams. Dele Alli is not a press breaking number 10. He's just not. He's not. He's almost like a second striker, you know, type number 10. He's a poacher, you know, in the box type of guy. That's it. There's a place for Dele, but exactly. It can be defensive if they're playing a low block with 3 at the back, then it can be defensive, right? But that's what I'm saying. The formation, whether a formation like 4-4-2, people say 4-4-2 is a very defensive formation. It can be very attacking formation as well. It just depends on how you're setting up, right? Are you setting what is your tactic? What is your tactical outlook on it? Are you looking to set low, right, and put 10 men behind the ball, or are you playing expansive in like a 4-4-2 diamond, right? Because if you're playing in a 4-4-2 diamond, that's a very, very attacking formation. It just depends all on this aspect. So there is no formation that is, you know, defensive or offensive. It all has to be done about how you set the team up, where you're tactically. Look, that's everybody plays Football Manager. You know that the formation doesn't matter. You can set a guy to play high. You can set him to play low, right? Attacking, you can tell them to play defensive. It doesn't matter what formation you have. There are tactics that go on top of every formation that determine how things are going. I don't understand why people get tied up in this formation thing. It's not FIFA. But anyway, we're gonna shut this show down. We've been going an hour and 54 minutes. I've got work to do too. Cody Mac's got to get to the ladies and get hanging with the ladies. So, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to share the video out with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. I don't want Josh Sargent. I don't rate him. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, throw a like on the video, share the video with your friends. Folks, stay strong. Stay Spurs. Don't get any burrs. Cody Mac loves Spurs. We'll see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go down.